Today we are diving into the incredible work of Dr. Marcus Penn in his book, The Art of a Quiet Mind. We're going to unpack exactly why our minds can feel so chaotic, and more importantly, find a clear path to that inner silence we're all looking for.
So let's just jump right in with a question I think everyone can relate to. Why is your mind so noisy? You know that feeling, right? The world outside can be totally silent, but it feels like there's a hurricane of thoughts inside your head, a nonstop buzz of what-ifs, should-haves, and if-onlys.
Well, here's the central idea, the big reveal we're digging into. The number one source of all that mental noise, it's not your boss, your family, or the news. Nope, it's our own internal, relentless struggle to control things that were never, ever ours to control in the first place.
And Dr. Penn gives us this amazing metaphor to think about. I want you to just picture yourself pulling on a thick, heavy rope with all your strength. You're straining, you're sweating, you're trying to drag something towards you. But here's the kicker. The other end of that rope, it's attached to absolutely nothing.
And doesn't this just hit a little too close to home? I mean, who hasn't lost sleep replaying a conversation from 3 days ago, or worried endlessly about what someone else is thinking? The source calls this voluntary suffering. Think about that. We are voluntarily exhausting ourselves, pulling on that imaginary rope and creating all that noise in our heads.
So what's the first move? What do? We have to let go of the rope. And I want to be really clear about this. Letting go is not weakness. It's not giving up. It's actually one of the most powerful and courageous things you can possibly do. It's an act of deep wisdom and, frankly, self-respect.
This is where we find our real power. Look, you can't control another person's actions, but you have 100% control over your response. You can't change what happened yesterday, but you can absolutely control the effort you put in today. It's in that tiny little space, that gap between an event and your reaction to it, that's where all your freedom lives.
And wow, this is so important, especially in our relationships. Letting go isn't about being cruel or cutting someone off. It's about being clear. It's about refusing to abandon yourself. It's about making the choice not to drown while trying to save someone who refuses to even grab the life raft.
Okay, so let's build on that. Once we drop the rope, once we stop trying to control the uncontrollable, we can finally focus on the one thing we do have power over, our actions. This, right here, is how you escape that endless, anxious loop of what if.
You know, our whole culture is obsessed with results, with the final outcome. And that obsession just fuels our anxiety about the future. But this one simple question, it's like an anchor. It pulls you out of that imaginary, scary future and plants you right back into the solid ground of the present. The goal isn't to stare at the mountaintop, it's just to focus on your next step.
And the process is so easy, you can do it anywhere. The moment you feel that anxiety creeping in, just pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what is one small, tiny thing I can do about this right now? Not tomorrow, not perfectly, just one little thing. Maybe it's sending one email or reading one page. It's those small, consistent actions that quietly build massive results.
This shift in thinking changes absolutely everything. When you tie your identity, your self-worth, to your effort, you can't lose. You literally win every single day that you show up and try your best. The outcome just becomes a bonus.
Okay, on to our next practice. This one is huge. It's all about changing your relationship with your own thoughts. And no, this isn't about fighting your mind or trying to force it to be quiet. It's about getting curious. It's about becoming a detective and putting your thoughts on trial instead of just believing every single one.
This right here is a total game changer. Just because a thought pops into your head does not make it true. Thoughts are just suggestions. They're stories. They're interpretations your brain makes based on old fears and past experiences. They are not reality.
In psychology, these faulty patterns are called cognitive distortions. Sounds complicated, but just think of them as bad mental habits. They're like well-worn shortcuts in your brain that happen to lead you straight into anxiety. And the good news? Like any habit, they can be changed.
Let's look at a few common ones. You ever just know that your friend is mad at you based on a one-word text? That's mind reading. Or how about when a small mistake at work suddenly feels like a career-ending catastrophe? That's catastrophizing. Just learning to spot these patterns is the first giant step to taking their power away.
And here is a simple but life-changing technique. The next time a negative thought comes up, like I'm a failure, try rephrasing it, I am having the thought that I'm a failure. See that? You create a little space, you're no longer the thought, you are the one observing the thought. It's a small shift in language that makes a massive difference. Which leads us to our final practice. And honestly, this might be the most important piece of the entire puzzle. It's about transforming that voice in your head from your harshest critic into your most compassionate cheerleader.
So many of us have this belief that we need to be hard on ourselves to get anywhere. This self-criticism is a motivator, but the science shows the complete opposite is true. Constantly beating yourself up doesn't motivate you. It paralyzes you with fear. It's actually self-compassion that builds the resilience you need to get back up after you fall.
The way to practice this is surprisingly simple. The next time you make a mistake or feel like you failed, I want you to stop and ask yourself this one powerful question. If my best friend came to me with this exact same problem, what would I say to them?
And now say that to yourself. That's the hard part, isn't it? We give that kindness, that understanding, that encouragement so freely to the people we love, but we deny it to ourselves. The entire practice is about learning to turn that compassion inward.
So, as we bring all of this together, it's so important to remember the goal here. A quiet mind is not an empty mind. That's a myth. A quiet mind is a mind where you're in the driver's seat. You are the calm observer of your thoughts, not a prisoner locked in a cell with them.
And I love this because it shows the exchange we're making. Each of these practices is a trade-up. You are consciously deciding to trade anxiety for peace. You're swapping overthinking for clarity. You're ditching chaos for discernment, and you're replacing that brutal inner critic with true resilience. This is the architecture of a quiet mind.
So I'll leave you with this question. The journey to a quiet mind isn't one giant leap. It's a series of small, conscious choices you make every single day. So what is one choice, just one, that you will make today to trade a little bit of chaos for a little bit of peace? Your quiet mind is waiting.